Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Outschool Live. If you are new to Outschool, um, we have over 140,000 classes online where learners can explore in almost any subject. And I am getting an error on this broadcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove myself from the screen real quick and fix this error, and I'll be right back. So thank you for your patience. Don't go anywhere. We're talking dinosaurs, STEM, and all exciting things for learners. We'll be right back. Let me go ahead and fix this. All right, here we go. Thanks for your patience as I fix that. Today, we are talking about STEM, mythology, dinosaurs, and how they relate. So please welcome to the stage, Miss Alex. Dun, 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 dun.
Thanks, Fernando.
Alex, thanks so much for joining us today. We are talking mythology, dinosaurs, STEM. But before we talk about that, I want to ask or introduce you. So we're bringing Alex here because Alex, when we started this program, we asked around, it's like, hey, who are the educators that we should feature in Outschool Live? And you were on the tip of everyone's tongue. Especially you did an event with the learner community, which was awesome. The learners loved specifically seeing your dinosaur fossils.
Of course, yes. The fossils.
Yeah.
Yes. Always a hit.
Yeah, so now every time we see you, we're just thinking fossils. And I'm
Fossils.
sorry, I'm that person now. I see
It's
him like,
awesome.
hey, how are your fossils going? So before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you teach on Outschool, and why you teach it?
Yeah, absolutely. So who I am is anyone who knows me would say that's complicated. I am a homeschooling parent. I have 3 kids. One of them is off to college at Berkeley this fall. Woo woo. I know, right? And she's studying math. Okay, no, and no, good. God bless her, right? Actually, she's going to save the world with math. And then I have a senior this year who takes a lot of Outschool classes. And I have a 7-year-old who was homeschooled up till this year, but now we're testing out the waters of public schools. So we've kind of been all over the place. And I bring that homeschool experience into Outschool. I feel like I understand where homeschoolers are coming from, but I also do have public school kids who are a little bit different from other kids. So they've found a really nice home in Outschool as well. So it's not just for homeschoolers. I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm not just a bit of a nerd. I'm a big fat nerd. I like all the nerdy things. I'm never going to grow up. I'm also neurodiverse, so I'm diagnosed ADHD, and I think there's a little neurodiversity soup in there as well. And I think that definitely filters out into everything I do in good ways, and sometimes more complicated ways.
Oh man. All right. Where do we go from there? Because there's part of me that wants to dig into dig into that, right? Like you know, uh, how does that present itself in complicated ways and exciting ways? I think for learners.
Well, I would say for learners, it's a big bonus for me and for them because in my classroom, I think it really keeps me aware and sensitive to all of the little things that are happening. I unfortunately spent most of my childhood heavily masking, and I have a really great ability to just really keep an eye on what everybody's doing, what their feedback is, how they're feeling about me, what kind of faces are they making. And I think that actually translate really well into a classroom because I am just really watching all of these kids to see, like, are they getting a little uncomfortable? Have things escalated? Like, is it getting too hyper? Is someone getting overwhelmed? Or are they really enjoying themselves? And it allows me to be constantly kind of tweaking my approach, and my reactions and how I'm managing the classroom. So I would say in that way, it's a little bit of a superpower, that kind of grew out of something that maybe wasn't so awesome for me. And the other thing is that I really understand what kids are going through. I know what it's like to be that kid who is misunderstood, a little bit different, maybe likes things that not a lot of other kids like, and really needs to find this like safe, soft spot to land and just be really accepted and celebrated. So I think that my neurodiversity helps me to create a really inclusive, really positive classroom space for the kids who join me.
100%. We already have some questions coming in from Instagram, also talking about your specific classes. Now you have classes on STEM, mythology, and dinosaurs, of course.
Yep.
And those are like, those are your main?
Yeah, I would say, when I first started on Outschool, and I still have these classes, but I would say right now my main focus on Outschool is I teach a lot of STEM classes, or STEAM, I like to call them. I also, and I do that for two different age levels, mostly 5 to 8. And then recently I've expanded more into like 6 to 9 or 10. So I do a lot of STEAM and I do a lot of dinosaurs. That's how I started out on Outschool, is teaching dinosaur classes. And then I've kind of spun out from those. Mythology, magical creatures, that's a big thing that I love. And so I've really done a lot of classes with those as well. And then I also do teach drawing. So that kind of like flows out from all of those. And a fairy class, which all of those, by the way, are secretly STEM classes. Shh, but the kids don't always know, right? So we might be doing fairy class, but it's actually a botany class, but don't tell them that. They think it's fairy class. So we have a good time kind of wrapping in a lot of things into stuff that kids are really, really excited about.
All right. I have a question in the queue, but can you define STEM for anyone who might not be familiar with STEM or STEAM?
Yeah. So STEM is, of course, a big buzzword. And I think, 5 years ago, maybe not as many people were as familiar with it, but it's really become a big push in schools. It stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And at the beginning of all of my STEM classes, we always practice that, except we also add in the A. And the A stands for art. And the A is really important to me. So my classes are, they're tagged with STEM, but really they're STEAM classes, because the A for me is the part where kids get to take all of those different things that were maybe concepts that we're exploring in science, or, engineering concepts. The A is the part where they get to express themselves. And I think that's so, so important. We get really caught up in, learning ideas and mastering concepts and mastering skills, but we also need that ability to say, I need to be able to talk to you. So there's some communication skills in the A, right? Or I need to be able to show you what I'm doing in a way that is easy to understand. So there's some design and some art. And then also for my learners, that's the part where we really start to incorporate a lot of the hands-on experiences that we do in class, is through the art part. So it's STEAM for me, but really it's STEM.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm biased. I love that because I feel like art is all the things.
Yeah, it's all the things. Exactly.
So the question from Instagram was, thanks for explaining STEM and STEAM, by the way. And if you have further questions about STEM or STEAM, please drop those comments on the thread or those questions, and we can answer them either now from our community, or Miss Alex can jump in at a later time. The question was, are your dinosaur classes a good fit for neurodiverse learners?
Oh, well, yes. Yes. And everyone, honestly, if you love dinosaurs, come hang out with me because guess what? I love dinosaurs too. And the more I spend time with my friends in class learning about dinosaurs, the more I love dinosaurs. So we can special interest all day long together. I just have such a great time. You know, these kids come in, they're brilliant, right? The world, they have so much access to information now. They come in little experts, you know, and I get to come in with my ideas. And it's just this wonderful exchange of information that all these kids have collected. And then, you know, sometimes will, you know, they don't always say the dinosaur name in the same way or always think the same facts about the dinosaurs. So there's a little toggling there that we have to do to kind of make sure that everybody understands that, you know, this is science. Like it's there are facts, but those facts are always changing and they can depend on the information that you have. And it's always an opportunity to get a little more information and kind of, you know, update your own fact file. So that's what we do. We come together and we update our dinosaur fact files. We create a really fun field guide. Each class we learn about a new dinosaur. We add it to our field guides. So as kids come through the class, they get this really cool like thing that they keep forever, you know, that shows all the awesome dinosaurs that we've learned about. So to answer the question, yes, it is a safe place. All of my classes are a great spot for neurodivergent learners for sure.
Oh, awesome. On that, for those who are new to Outschool, welcome to Outschool Live. And we're talking with Miss Alex about mythology, STEM, dinosaurs, neurodiversity. If you're new to Outschool, please feel free to check us out and use our code GoLive10 for $10 off your first class. That includes Miss Alex's class. And Miss Alex, it sounded like you're saying, is this an ongoing class that you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So to explain to parents who may not be familiar with ongoing classes, you have one-time classes. We also have ongoing classes, which is weekly. And so you have learners who can come in during that ongoing class and they can just sort of jump right in and learn a new dinosaur that week and build on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can join anytime, pop in, pop out. I will say though that I typically they pop in and then they never pop out. They just stay for they just never want it to end. They just want to keep getting more dinosaurs. And so I have a full year of level 1 and now I have a full year of level 2 for Dinosaur Collectors Club. And now all of those kids who did all of year 1 and all of year 2 are now begging me for level 3. So that's in the works. In
Do
the
you
works.
Can you tell me what ages you generally work with?
Yeah, so I start out at 5 to 8 is my like level 1 classes. I did used to teach 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 similar kinds of things, but geared more developmentally younger. Um, and then just out of sheer time, really, I gravitate really strongly to the 5, I would say 5 to 9 and 10. That's just a really sweet spot for me for connection and the kinds of stuff that I like to do with them. And just that like pure joy of learning that they're still bringing to the classroom. They're not self-conscious at all. You know, they're just there to like be themselves and they're 100%, you know, they're really, there's no awkwardness yet. So for me, it's a really sweet spot that makes my day fun. And also, I think that they're really ripe to just learn anything. So that's the age group that I do.
Absolutely. That is a fun age group. I'm biased towards that age group myself, but we had so something that parents may not know is that we have a very strong parent community at Outschool, and we have a very strong educator community as well. And we actually had a parent, and so educators get together and they talk about, hey, what's working with learners, and you know they trade tips and learnings. And we had an educator come in, or it looks like an educator asking you a question about your expertise, Miss Alex. Do you think there is that there's a need for more STEM classes for 3 to 6 in the 3 to 6 age group?
I mean, absolutely. The thing about STEAM is people are already doing it all the time. I mean, STEAM is just another word for um, building curiosity, exploring the world. You just have to do it in a different way for different ages. And honestly, at that age, they're already naturally out there touching everything, putting things together, and let me see how it fits, experimenting. What happens when I do this? What happens when I do that? Not so good. So, I mean, STEAM's already happening in their lives. In the classroom, it's just a way, it's just a spot where we can kind of funnel that. And we also get to bring in the experience of group learning, which, is different from playing at home, and experimenting and building at home. Now we're building in a group. And so we're also learning like communication skills and how to take turns, and also how to interact in a virtual environment, which is new for everyone, since the pandemic, but it's just become a vital skill. So I think, there's different ways that you have to approach that younger age group. They have to move their bodies. I try to switch it up every 5 minutes in those younger classes where we move from one type of activity to another one so that they can stay engaged. But I mean, other than that, yeah, absolutely. All ages are the perfect age for doing STEAM.
Um, I was gonna ask, right? How would well, I think you answered two questions already that I was like in my head was, how do parents who might want to encourage their own kids to explore STEAM? I'll go ahead, I'll start. I'll re-ask some of these. How would you encourage parents who want to encourage their kids to explore STEM or STEAM on their own to do it?
So I would say that, first of all, just enjoy your kids, which I know sounds so obvious, but I think as parents, we're wearing so many hats all the time. It's very difficult for us to say, well, I'm going to buy these cool STEM toys. And of course, Lego, Duplo, those are awesome STEAM toys. So we can buy all of these things, but what our kids really want to see, and I think this is what's happening in my classrooms, and I think this is why kids get so excited, is they're looking to us to see, is this exciting? And if we are not bringing the excitement to it, then, it's hard. I think it's harder for them to engage. They have natural curiosity, but they're trying to be social with us. And so I would say the best thing that you can do is get up and take your kid for a walk and help them learn how to notice things, touch things, smell things, pick things up, sit down and build Legos with your kids, come up with a challenge. Can we do this together? And also keep your expectations open. If you come into situations with your kid with an agenda, that's fine, but you have to just stay really flexible, because I think a STEM and STEAM environment is meant to be a playground for learning and experimentation. It's not meant to be so rigid, right? STEAM is all about kind of learning new things, taking what we know and putting it into action and seeing what happens, or what can I do with this, or how can I carry this to future knowledge. So I would just say stay playful, and participate with your kids in those moments.
I like your take on that because I think it's easy to feel that like science and technologies are rigid. Is a
That's what I
rigid,
thought.
inclusive event versus this.
Yes, I grew up hating science. Like literally science was the worst. I hated science. And now what do I do all day, every day? I teach STEAM. Like, it's so much more fun when you take this approach of being playful with kids and being curious and excited. And I think that's why I teach the topics that I do. Look, we're coming full circle, Fernando. It's happening. This is it. It's the moment.
We knew it would happen eventually.
Yes, that's right. So I think that's why the topics that I pick work so well for me, and they might not work so well for somebody else. Because when I'm talking about dragons and fairies with kids, I am genuinely so into it, right? And the kids who are there with me, they're so into it also. We're there together sharing something that we already really love. And so I'm able to like really casually weave in all of these other concepts that I want to explore with them. And they don't notice it's happening because they're just already so excited, and they're keeping that playfulness, and that really fun, passionate approach to what we're doing.
Oh, okay. So related, how can you give me like a case how this would happen specifically in mythology? We had some questions coming in about like how would you relate mythology? So like, I don't know,
Yeah.
If I'm a learner and I'm coming in and oh my gosh, Miss Alex, I just read, or I don't know what's something that a learner would come in and
Um,
said about mythology.
Okay, so let's say they're really into learning about creatures from Greek mythology, right? And so that week we are talking about chimera. And so if we're
Which one
talking
was
about
Chimera again?
chimera, hold on, I've got it in a notebook. Or am I allowed to use a visual aid here? Haha.
Yeah, I mean we're working with kids.
All
Visuals
right.
works, right?
So once again, we're making notebooks, right? So we do a field guide, and every week I'll send them some supplies that they get to use in their field guide. And it tells a lot of facts, and we have coloring stuff. So that way they've got other ways to stay engaged. If they're like me and they want to doodle all during class, they can color. They've got the fact sheets to look at after class to feel like they've really done something. But this is chimera, right? And behind chimera, we can see a volcano. So chimera is part of Greek mythology, and the deal is that chimera is like part lion, part goat, part snake, and full of fire. Right,
Okay.
obviously a real animal. So what we talk about is, why did the Greeks come up with this concept of chimera, right? And really, it's the same reason that scientists understand volcanoes. The Greeks were experiencing natural phenomena around them. There were these underground, magma pools, right? And there was a lot of seismic activity happening at the time. So what they're experiencing around them are these there's this mountain, and there's all this like steam and fire that comes right out of the ground. You can walk this path. I can't think of the name of the path right at this very second, but there's this path that you can hike, and there's all this steam coming up out of the ground, right? And smoke. And it's because of these underground, magma pools. And so the Greeks at the time, they didn't know what was underneath the earth, right? And so they come up with stories to answer the essential questions that people have been trying to answer since we existed, right? Which is, who am I? Why am I here? Why is all of this happening? What is that? How did that get here? The Greeks just happened to answer those questions with stories, and other cultures have answered those questions with other stories. And gradually, over time, through our observations of the natural world, we we're able to kind of feed in a little more of what's actually happening into these stories. So now we understand what's under the ground, but back then it was just a way, and possibly even a warning to other travelers, like, hey, don't come over here. There's a chimera and it's going to burn up your village. When really there was a volcano there that really would, burn up your village. But they came up with a story of the chimera to kind of explain what was going on. So
Was the Chimera the creature that actually burned the
yeah,
village, or did it live in the volcano?
it's the creature that burned a village. So really, it's the volcano, right? But this is how they explained it: is this, underground creature that would come out and burn up your village.
I mean, not to laugh at that.
Right, it's horrible, but we get these like brilliant, amazing stories out of it. And same thing with dinosaurs, right? Most likely dinosaurs, I mean, with dragons and dinosaurs are most likely the same thing, right? It's just ancient people who are probably finding things as they're, mining and and traveling and trying to figure out what it is. Well, obviously it must be a dragon, right? Oh, fingers crossed that it really was.
Right.
One day we'll find the real dragons.
I always wondered that about even uh I think I was talking to my learners about that, because we were finding shells in like up in the hills, like far away from the ocean, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we got to create a story of why this shell is here. Why is this fossil in the rock?
Yeah.
Because it didn't make sense. So just making up our story and almost creating our own myths around
Yes, I love that. That's so cool.
it. Do you have any learners who create their own
Well, one thing that we do is we have a lot of fun with hybrids, both in dinosaurs and mythology, right? That's like two great places for mixing things together. So we do practice a lot with mixing animals. We have, hybrid labs in Dinosaur Club, where we spin a wheel and it lands on different dinosaurs, and you have to kind of come up with like, what would that look like if we took the DNA from all these things and spliced it together, like in Jurassic World. And then same thing with mythology. so many of those creatures are hybrids, things that have been smushed together. So we play some games where we mix them up, and that's, a big art part as well.
Oh, absolutely. For those who are tuning in, thank you everyone for joining us today. Um, um, Here we are with Miss Alex talking mythology, dinosaurs, and how it relates to STEM and neurodiversity. Thanks everyone for showing up today. If you're new to Outschool, we have over 140,000 live classes where your kid can connect with expert educators in one-on-one or group classes with peers. So you can get $10 off your first class with our coupon Go Live 10, and I'll let that banner go around a couple more times on the bottom of the screen. Um, and We're talking dinosaurs and STEM. And if you're new to the concept of STEM, it's science, technology, engineering, math.
You did it. That's what I do for my
Yay!
kids. Yes, you got it. You remembered. And don't
I knew,
forget
I knew
the
excitement. And the A, if you see, sometimes you'll see STEAM for the arts component. Uh, Actually, one thing you're just saying, Miss Alex, about creating the hybrids and even comparing the DNA of what a hybrid might look like. We just had in the learner community. Oh, we're covering the full game. We've got parent community at Outschool. We have educator community. We have learner community. The learner community. We just spoke with a guest from Patagonia who wrote the book Four Fifths of Grizzly, and he's talking to learners about how uh, the genetic, how much of a genetic match we have with nature. And it was really exciting. It was just an aside. That wasn't even a question for you. That was just an
That's
old man
awesome.
story. But
Hardly.
we do have we have some comments from folks coming in. Um, Michelle Ward says, "Amazing working with teachers like you is the reason we use Outschool. This passion is what inspires learning." I definitely agree. Um, Garrett is saying mythology and dinosaurs. What more could you ask for? Thank you,
Indeed.
Garrett. Thank you, Garrett Harlow. Um, Danita Dakota's sharing a give 20 get 20, which at Outschool when you try a class or when you refer a class to a friend, you can also not only if they use your referral code, you can give them $20 for their first class and get $20 for your first class. So there are a lot of ways to get free, or let's say free, but a lot of ways to increase your Outschool credit at Outschool, and I encourage you to message our social team who can help you with any questions you have on Outschool. But for now, we're talking again dinosaurs, mythology, and STEM with Miss Alex. Miss Alex, is there anything that I haven't covered so far that? Oh my gosh, I just looked at the clock. Oh, hey, we're
Oh no.
doing well on time. Is there anything that I haven't covered so far that you think like, oh, we should make sure we cover this topic?
Well, I mean, I do see some questions here. Is it okay if I scroll through them and see if there's anything that we kind of
Oh,
missed?
absolutely. Oh, yeah, I see some coming in. We have one coming up saying, "How often do you teach your dinosaur and mythology class?"
So I teach them both a couple times throughout the week. The dinosaur classes, I would say that there's at least 4 or 5 different times that you can pick from. The mythology currently has one, but we do have two mythology drawing classes running right now. And even though that is a drawing class, it's very beginner. We really focus on how to draw anything, starting with shapes and then adding details. And we also pull in that secret science, right? Because even though it's a drawing class, it's actually a science class because we do talk a lot about making observation, noticing details, a little bit of the origins of the mythology and the dinosaur stories and the facts that we might know about them. So dinosaur drawing week happens twice a week, mythology twice a week, and then there's lots of different levels for dinosaurs. And then my STEAM class, which is kind of a sampler, so that's a full year of STEAM. We do something totally different every week. Kids can jump in anytime. That's another ongoing class, so you don't have to have been there the week before to understand what we're doing this week. But we do make a passport, so if you come for a whole season, you can like check something off every time you come to like fill up your passport, and then you can come back for the next passport. There's a whole year of that. Plus now there's level 2, almost a full year of that completed now as well. And then this fall, I'm launching a brand new course, which I think has 2 sections. One is nearly full. The other one still has some room, and it is called STEMology. It's the best of both worlds. So it's a STEAM class that is based on mythology. So every week we'll be kind of taking a open-ended STEAM project approach. We'll learn about something from mythology, and then we'll do a STEAM activity that either reflects either a STEAM project that's more guided or something more open-ended where they have to come up with their own solutions. So I'm excited about that. That's new.
Oh, and then a question too that I saw is, if the learner is new to dinosaurs, what would you recommend as their first intro with you?
So I do a 5-week, it's called a multi-day class, right? So this one's like a start to finish. You come in, it builds each week a little bit, and then it finishes after 5 weeks. It's called Discovering Dinosaurs. And to me, that's like such a great way of, if you know a little bit about dinosaurs or not at all, that class will really get you up to speed, understanding some of the terminology, the time periods that they lived in. We do a lot with timelines. We talk about herbivores and carnivores and being able to recognize the traits they might each have. And then we have a little fun with creating, we have like a big final project where they get to make their own like dinosaur island. And it's just really fun and hands-on. There's a lot of games and chat. And I would say that that's like the best intro course. And then a lot of times kids kind of flow out of that into the ongoing because they need to know more.
Oh, exciting. All right, I'm going to go through any last question. Okay, excellent. I think we got to the questions. Well, I think we are at time. So I want to thank you very much for joining us here on Outschool Live and bringing your passions to Outschool and bringing your passion to learners. So really appreciate what you do for us.
Thanks, Fernando. I had a great time. I feel really lucky to have been invited to do this.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Miss Alex. And to everyone out there, please stay in touch. Ask any questions you want on this thread or any social threads, and our social team will get on it. And we wish you all the best. Happy learning, everyone.